All right, welcome in to another episode of 3R, doing this one on the cuff as usual. As I got done working today, there was Ace Frehley news. So let's get into it. I'm not going to bring it up on screen today. I'll just give you guys the gist of it. So there's no chance he will perform with Kiss at the final concert. I never got a phone call, he says. Uh he said they just said basically he said they said they invited us to perform at the show. I never got a phone call. Peter never got a phone call. They just said that to sell tickets. And recently, Paul made negative statements about me and Peter. For example, I think the last negative statement he said was when people ask him, is Peter and Ace going to perform at the Garden? He said, oh, we would mar the show if we got up there and play, which is really insulting, he says. Here comes the real ludicrous part. I've been touring without Kiss for years. I mean, Kiss has put out an album in what? Hasn't put out an album in what, 9 years? Well, if you want to call Monster an album, I personally call it a very uncomfortable piece of toilet paper. And then he said, I put out 5 or 6, in which more toilet paper. And 10,000 volts, I think, is really going to turn heads. Now, you've seen some of my other news clips. He's basically come out and said this is the best stuff he's ever done. These are his words, not mine. Writing with Mr. X Trickster dude or whatever. Said, I know Gene's going to really like it and tell the press he does like it. I have no idea what Paul's going to say. Here we go. You ready? This might be one of the most preposterous statements I've ever heard in my life. He usually holds back on any deep praise for me because he's jealous of me. He's jealous of me. Let that sink in for a little bit. Paul Stanley is jealous of Ace Frehley. And I scratched my head thinking, would Paul Stanley be jealous of Ace Frehley? Let's do the thing here. Looks? No. Um, musical ability? No. Let's see. Geez, what else could there be? Energy on stage? No. Oh, it's got to be Ace's stellar solo career in the unlimited Billboard hits and millions of dollars he's been making and selling out arenas. No. Okay, then it's got to be. It just has to be the fact that Paul's jealous that he too was never able to be a drug addict and alcoholic. No. So people, as I've stated with most members of this band, they're making it very difficult for me to even try to defend them. But in this long lasting soap opera of where Ace says Paul and Gene are always bashing him, from my perspective, as someone who sat back and monitored this for years, Paul and Gene may say a negative comment when they're asked about the truth of why the band members are not together. They state reliability, substance abuse, unable to physically perform an entire tour. Ace, find me, I challenge you, find me an article, interview, radio appearance, and this was on an interview with Mark Strigle of Sirius XM's Ozzy's Boneyard, which, don't get me started. Why is that called Ozzy's Boneyard? Last I checked, Ozzy wasn't into, playing. Sorry, my phone's blowing up and I'm going to throw it out the window. Ozzy is not a thrash musician. And that's pretty much 80% of what they play on that channel. Garbage. Like, sure, they'll play some decent, hard rock music, some Kiss stuff here and there, but it's mostly garbage thrash crap. Anyway, where was it? Oh, show me an interview where Ace Frehley doesn't bring up Kiss. Eddie Trunk, plethora of Sirius XMs, wherever, whoever interviews him, whatever ham and egg or throws a mic in front of his face. He's the one who can't let this go. You don't hear Peter out in the press on a daily basis. But to say Paul Stanley's jealous of Ace Frehley, he wrote one hit. Wow, take that back. He didn't even write the hit. That was from a band called Hello, New York group, right? That's Ace Frehley's claim to fame. A 1978 cover song. Without that, Ace Frehley is virtually unknown to anybody who wasn't a Kiss fan in the 70s. And Paul is jealous of Ace because Paul wishes Kiss could play local bars and casinos and sell 1,000 tickets. That's what Paul's really bent out of shape. He's so tired of only being able to sell 10,000 seat arenas. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into the fucking rest of it, but he's saying we're all getting old. We don't remember things the way they were. So sometimes things are said out of the heat of passion because they don't recall things correctly. Last I checked, Gene and Paul are two incredibly intelligent people who haven't destroyed their minds with chemical abuse. They don't appear Joe Biden to me. You don't see Paul and Gene struggling to string together a sentence or trying to remember what they did yesterday. So nice try, Ace, in trying to deflect and say that everything Paul and Gene has said about you is because their memory isn't what it used to be. So that's the negative. And he puts out, and I'll put a clip up when I edit this. He shares his video track, title track, 10,000 Volts, off his new solo album, 10,000 Volts. Track listing goes 10,000 Volts, Walking on the Moon, Cosmic Heart, Cherry Medicine, Back into My Arms Again, Fighting for Life, Blinded, Constantly Cute, Life of a Stranger, Up in the Sky, and Stratosphere. Probably the best record I've ever done. I'm very excited about it. I hope you're excited about it. It's the first time I ended up writing most of these songs with a good friend of mine, Steve Brown. He used to play in Trickster and has a group called Rubik's Cube. Okay, anyway. So I watched this video, and the first thing I see is someone who can't let go of the past, still trying to ride the spaceman character, which he hasn't been since he took the makeup off, no matter how much he wants to be. He's playing his part-time in this video. There's several different cuts. He'll be playing the flashing guitar that you saw, Dynasty Unmasked days / used it in the Do Ya video. So he's using that. Cuts to a Les Paul with the flash bomb coming out of the pickup and a little bit of smoke. There's nonstop lightning graphics up and down the fretboard as he's playing his solo, which is very pedestrian, even for Ace. He's all decked out in lightning bolt garb. Actually, the coat looks pretty good. But he's still trying to live off a visual that has not been relevant for him since 1980, maybe. The song is adequate, uh, average, certainly not memorable. The chorus is very, of course, boring and monotone. His verses are very unenunciated and monotone. There's no excitement to this song. Like I said, it's not terrible, but this is the problem I have with musicians. And be proud of what you do. Obviously, you have to be, or you shouldn't be doing it. But when you come out saying things like the best work I've ever done, well, I've heard Rip It Out. I've heard Speeding Back to My Baby. I've heard fucking New York Groove. I've heard, you know, Hard Times. I've heard Talk to Me. I've heard Two Sides of the Coin, right? That's some of the best stuff you've ever done. Even Into the Night and Rock Soldiers and Trouble Walking. You know, we've all heard the best Ace Frehley stuff. And it was decades ago. This doesn't even come close. Now it's one song off an album I haven't heard yet. But if this is the track you release when you're a struggling, aging artist playing 500 to 1,000 seat venues, you should release the strongest track on the album. Not your favorite, the strongest, meaning have 10, 20 people in the industry listen to it and tell you. And if that was the case and they all came up with this song, this album is going to be garbage. If this is the highlight, again, this is not a terrible song, but if this is the highlight of the album, imagine what the rest is. Now, a lot of times bands will release stuff that isn't the best on the album just because they see things differently than, you know, each fan's got their own taste, right? But wow. You know, and Kiss is guilty of the overhype too. You know, this is going to be the next Destroyer. How many times have we heard that? And it never measures up. But when you come out, and he's been in the news every day this damn week, and mostly about how he's not playing the last shows because Paul and Gene never called him. Now, you take a side, you believe who you want to believe. Could it be that Kiss was just trying to pull a fast one on the fans to get them excited to buy tickets? Maybe. On the other hand, has Kiss had trouble selling tickets over the last 10 years? No. So, an unneeded trick? It's Madison Square Garden, and it's the last two shows Kiss will ever play. They'd sell out regardless. They don't need rumors and hearsay. That's my take on it. Plus, Gene's got no reason to lie. And Ace and Peter have every reason to lie. They have, if they turned it down, if you read several interviews with Ace Frehley over the past few months, and it even reiterates in some of these articles how, well, Kiss has got deep pockets, so I'm for sale. If they want to pay enough money, I'll be there. Peter, you don't hear nothing from him, so it's hard to get a read on him. But with Ace basically saying, if you pay me, you know, millions of dollars is what I'm assuming he thinks he's worth for, you know, a show, I'll play. He's got everything to protect, because if Paul and Gene say, no, we don't need you that bad, come up and play for free or not at all, well, then Ace has got to cover his tracks. He doesn't want to admit to the world that Kiss doesn't need him. So he says, they never offered. I don't know. I'm in the camp that believes Ace and Peter have both been asked just to do it for the fans. Yes, Paul and Gene are getting rich off this. I get it. But the bottom line is this is Ace and Peter's last chance for either one of them to be up in front of 20,000 plus fans. It's their last chance to go out on a positive note in rock history. and they're trying to monopolize on it and be treated like an equal member and get a even split of the profits. That's the way I see it. And then they want, Eric and Tommy to not wear makeup and just sit in the background like a couple of, AC/DC members not named Johnson and Young. That's not the way it's going to fly. You come out, you do a couple songs like MTV Unplugged without your makeup, and you give something to your fans, or you sit home, pout, and miss your last chance. And it looks like that's what Ace and Peter are doing. Don't kid yourself. Even if there haven't been personal phone calls, Gene has addressed it in the media several times. They're always welcome. They're always welcome. They're always welcome. They could easily reach out and call him. So it is what it is. The song is what it is. I wish this whole thing could have played out differently, but we all kind of saw this coming, right? There was no chance, unless they're all pulling an ultimate fuck you to the fans and surprise you at the last minute, and there they all are on stage and they've had this big extravagant thing planned all along. But I highly doubt that, because something like that would guarantee massive streaming. Tickets have been sold out for God knows how long, so that's not a factor. But now that they announced they're doing this on pay-per-view, I think that would be a stupid move for them to pull it out last minute. Think of how many people are not going to get this because they're Ace and Peter only fans that would have got it if they had known they were going to be there, even for one song. So I don't think that's it. I think this is truly one, for sure, potentially two former members who are so consumed with jealousy and remorse over their own stupid actions over their lifetime at what they've thrown away. I mean, essentially, if you look at it, it's 2023, about to be 2024. The band starts at 73. They lasted 10 years. So it's essentially, to me, and Kiss is still selling out and still doing incredible things. So to me, a good analogy would be Ace and Peter are the guys you read about who won the lottery, lived life hard and fast like they've always wanted to for a year or two, and are completely fucking broke again. And that's happened to them. But this is a career-long decision. Leaving the band after 10 years when the band lasts 50. While the band is still playing arenas. While the band is still in high demand. The merchandise is still flying out the fucking store. And the other two who decided to take the lottery ticket and, spend all the money in 10 years and say, fuck it. They're playing clubs, special appearances, releasing albums nobody cares about, nobody buys but a handful of fans. And don't kid yourself, I believe they're bitter about that, about their own mistakes. And they're basically deflecting and putting it on Paul and Gene like they've been doing since the trouble started in the mid-70s. It's never been their fault. You ever notice that? It's never been their fault. And you could say the same with Gene and Peter, but Gene's owned up to his mistakes. Paul has thrown Gene under the bus numerous times over the year about how Gene checked out and became Mr. Hollywood, and Paul had to hold the whole fucking band together. Paul's opened up many times how he became a head case and needed to shrink, and then had to shrink manage the band just to fuck the band up. And they've all made their mistakes. But the only ones who've never admitted their mistakes, Ace and Peter. It's always exaggerated. It's always Paul and Gene's fault. And they can't let it go because, or at least Ace, because he has to say it every time he gets a public forum to say it. So I hope you enjoy this Frehley album. I won't buy it until I hear more than this song, because this song does absolutely nothing for me. Again, not terrible, not memorable, not even something that you could listen to this 5 times in a row and walk away and can't remember what the hell you just heard. There is nothing. This is as generic as it gets. This is no better than anything you'd hear some local touring bar band who's got, their own material that they play 3 or 4 songs from. You might say, okay, that was good. And you'll forget all about it by the time the next Journey song comes up or whatever. So, anyway, I got the next 2 off. So, I'm going to start putting some more stuff out here shortly. Until then, I will gather up some more news, some more topics, and get back with you. So, thanks for watching.